we want to talk a little bit about function notation because we've got some people have had pre-calculus, some people haven't had algebra 2. Okay? So we want to be sure everybody understands function notation well enough to function for the next couple of days. Okay? We're going to use it. And we're going to, probably use it with Wolfram Alpha because it's the way to get answers to some of the questions y'all put down. Okay? As soon as I figure out how to use it with Wolfram Alpha, you got to be able to assign a formula to a function, and I think that involves a colon equal sign as it does in many computer algebra systems. But I'm going to have to check Wolfram Alpha because, as I say, I don't use it, and I didn't have time to check that. I was too busy with the eigenvectors and stuff, and looking at randomized larger matrices. So anyhow, okay, so we just write f parentheses x equals x squared, and then we ask ourselves what f parentheses 4 could possibly mean, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like this x is now replaced by 4, right? Mm-hmm. Okay? Well, if I then replace this x by 4, I might get some information, right? So replacing x by 4 is going to change this expression, right? So the whole key is x has been replaced by 4. So we replace every x by 4. So f of x equals x squared becomes f of 4 equals 4 squared. Okay? So f of 4 equals 16. Right? That makes sense? So now if we're trying to do a graph of this function f of x versus x, okay? So I say, therefore, on a graph of y equals f of x versus x, we have the point, and I'm going to write it this way. For f of 4. That is 416, right? So we have 4, we have 16. This point is so the coordinate here is f of 4 or 16, right? So this point is 4f of 4, and of course that's 416. Okay? It doesn't take a huge amount of imagination then to see that the graph of f of x versus x is the graph of x squared versus x, right? Which is our old friend, the basic quadratic function, right? Now your standard graph only goes up to x equals 2, at which point, you get 4, so, that we can easily extend that graph. It's still parabolic, right? And of course, we can make it symmetric, draw the symmetric part of it, okay? Make sense? That's what function notation means. And now we have a language in which we can talk about any old function, okay? So that much makes sense? Now, of course, if you're familiar with function notation, it certainly makes sense. Okay, well, now I'm going to ask you to write out a couple of things for this function. Okay? I'm going to ask you to write out f of -2 f of x plus 7, which might give you a little bit of, make a little bit of thinking. Now, how about f of aardvark? One of my favorite variables, first word in the dictionary and all that stuff. Okay? How about f of x plus delta x? Or even f of x plus delta x minus f of x? Or even f of x plus delta x minus f of x divided by delta x.
Wait, what?
And this one is really, really important. It's a foundation of calculus. See what you can do with these.